It's 24 degrees Celsius in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily, your daily dose of sunshine. I'm Maupe Ogu-Yusuf.
Well, I can confirm we had quite a dose of sunshine yesterday and day before yesterday in Lagos, quite hot. Today it's 27 degrees. I don't know how it's going to be as the day progresses, but welcome to the show. Today is October 15. I'm Ayo Makinde. Welcome again to Sunrise Daily.
Well, Ayo, guess who was serving us a lot of sunshine yesterday? It was the Super Eagles of Nigeria, showing us what they're truly capable of, whooping our neighbors, Benin Republic, 4-0. And, well, sadly, though, that performance was not enough to take us to the World Cup. We still have to go to the playoffs as South Africa topped the group table yesterday. But it was quite a show to watch, wasn't it, Ayo?
I have to be honest with you, Mark, where we can't just use the word whoop or win. I think the better word should be wallop. But hey, we can't, we can't really beat up a mosquito with a sledgehammer. But really, yes, it was a beautiful, very, very beautiful performance. Oh, yes, I watched it this morning. I watched the highlights this morning. As usual, please pardon my precious heart. But I'm excited particularly about the second goal. I was looking at how in the universe that could happen. And the last goal, because the last goal happened within about 20 seconds before the end of the match. And it is definitely something, cheering. I would go with the victory, Mark, but the sadly part, let's leave that for a while. Let's just celebrate what we got. The fact that at least there is a bit of sunshine, right? There were fears that we would not get here, but win after win, at least the last two wins, indicate that there is some hope here and there. Let's see how Nigeria is able to restore the joy and confidence of people as they go into the playoffs. So again, congratulations to the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Indeed, congratulations to the Super Eagles, and a lot of thanks. There were a lot of thanks to Victor Osimhen and also to Frank Onyeka, who helped seal victory for us yesterday in Uyo. We have to thank them very much for what it is that they have done, and well, for the generality of Nigeria. Something to look forward to at the playoffs. Maybe it will prepare them as they head towards the World Cup. The fact that they have to play all of these matches to qualify for that one last ticket. But there's so much more to look at, because while sports can give us joy and bring us unity, politics sometimes does the exact opposite. We're going to be delving into some of the political developments that we've seen in recent times as we saw the governor of Enugu State yesterday defect to the All Progressives Congress. A trend we've been told is going to mark, the beginning of another gale of defections. It's unclear how many more are coming, but we're going to be talking about that on this program. Please stay with us. You already know him. You saw his introduction there. Professor Udenta joins us now. He's the founding national secretary of the Alliance for Democracy, the AD, and an intrepid political affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Prof.
Mokba and Ayo, I once more dutifully and humbly present myself before you people. And I hope I will not be slaughtered too much today.
Well, Prof, there is no slaughtering to be done. We're only slaughtering the issues.
I know.
That is all that we're doing this morning. So
absolutely. This
is what we witnessed yesterday, the latest in the long list of defections that we've seen in recent times. Is the governor of Enugu State, Mr. Peter Mba, who joined the ranks of the APC yesterday. And, the vice president said something very instructive. He said, "I've always known that you had a broom under your umbrella. You know, you're just waiting to reveal it at the right time."
Show it.
Yes, and I'm wondering, very telling. How many more people have brooms?
Brooms hidden somewhere.
Under the umbrella that we don't know yet.
It's just a remarkable day, you know, historic for the wrong reasons for me. But before I dive into that, which I'll do quickly, let me take our minds back. The purpose of this show, for me, on television, with great minds like you, is to inform, educate, and enlighten our people.
Indeed.
And I hope I'm going to achieve that this morning as quickly as we can with the shortness of the time we have. In 1999, after the elections, in Oyo, one of the senatorial districts in Oyo State, my party, then Alliance for Democracy, won decisively. They won almost everywhere in the Southwest. But it wasn't clear who the candidate of the party was. I knew as the secretary of the party, but then there was contestation between one Peter Deyemo and one Chief Ayoka Lawani. At the end of the day, the party resolved that it was Peter Deyemo. So what was not in contest was that the party won, because there's no name of Peter or Ayoka Lawani on the ballot paper. It was Alliance for Democracy, the name, the image, and the motto. And that has persisted 6 years down the democratic line. That individuals are really anonymous. The mandates are given to the political party, not to individuals, not to Peter Mbag, not to...
There was a Supreme Court judgment to reinforce that. That was what brought
not even one or two, several. So individuals, as important as they are very small players in this game of power, because the party is the symbol of power. The people in the millions troop out to vote for a party. Because they say this is the program of the party as enunciated by the character, the individual who is the winner of that mandate, or going to be with that mandate, whether it's a senator, a governor, a rep, or whatever. So Peter Mbag did not win election. PDP won election in Enugu State. He just had on the trust for the people. And that trust was desacralized yesterday because it was almost an abominable act, because people gave you mandate in the videos and they said, I have a broom somewhere. Like the VP even pointed out, so I'm bringing that, but beyond that. That's why I wanted to settle that first call. In conversing on this matter, people should be very careful about the kind of democratic tradition and culture we are building. Yesterday was not a political surrender for the South, it was equally a cultural surrender. Because you must understand there's some moral boundaries you don't cross in politics. We've crossed several. And the media have a role to play. You can't build an inclusive multi-party democracy when people see, maybe not illegal in terms of constitutional provisions, very, very unsavory and very unclear, but clearly unethical conduct on part of the political class. Another instance, in 2003, my party, Alliance for Democracy, cut a deal with then President Obasanjo to feed him as a candidate, to secure a base for him in the Southwest. He did very bad in 1999. He agreed. Somehow or the other, 5 of the governors were swept away, and PDP became dominant. Only 1 governor survived. That's Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He didn't decamp to PDP. He didn't strengthen his party's inclusion into the federal state by leaving his party. He was alone. He was on the trenches. I've said this before here. That's whenever I criticize the president or attack his policy, it doesn't mean I don't understand history. Maybe the conduct of his presidency today is something I worry with. But he stood firm with courage, with determination. And a lot of people gave him kudos for that. And Obasanjo, the president, they fought him. Seized local government money, actually politically oppressed him. And he got that mandate by resolute will, by what they commanded protection to ensure that the mandate was protected. And rebuilt their party. And his party began increasingly to take back the Southwest. To Osun, to Ekiti, Oyo, etc. That's his history. The point is, these governors who are the campaign, of what tenor are they made of? Are they with the moral fiber and authority to say, my party is in crisis, and I'm going to look at the constitutional provision. If my party is in crisis, I can run away. The president then didn't run away. Who is actually encouraging this, possibly encouraging this decapitation of the political system and equally the crumbling and fragmented political order? He didn't run away. He stood firm. These ones with their legs, with their tails between their legs, are running out of cowardice and godlessness. Now they gave you 2 reasons. The government yesterday gave 2 reasons. One, prosperity. You can have achieved prosperity as the governor of Lagos State achieved. Why is it a benchmark that Lagos State have been? Not because of the resources alone, because of the capacity to govern well and the handover to someone who govern well. It can be a resourceful governor and prosper a state by being in PDP, by being in APC, by being in ADC, by being in any party. Secondly, I hear the governor talked about what the PDP didn't do for the Saudis for 25 years. That is not true. Outside the presidency, the PDP have done everything for the leadership of the party, for the elite, who should do for the people, the position they were granted them. But on the presidency and the VP-ship, they've got everything else. But 2023, they had a son. Peter Obi in the race, did the leak of Southeast back, including Governor Peter Mba. Now 2027, he's still marching on with a wind behind his back, with the masses pouring out his support. Are they going to back him? Is it by joining APC that will back your own son to now realize that the PDP denied them? From 1999, had about 4 ministers of aviation, very crucial ministry, had an AGF. We have had at a time Senate Committee Chairman on Works, House Committee Chairman on Works, several times at the same time. Deputy Speaker, Deputy, LGF, and so on. We've had even 2 IGPs, all granted by the PDP. That's Okiro, that's Onovo. We've had Yejurika from 1966, Army Chief. The only job available left, and of course 5 senior presidents. For 3 states, 5 for every state, for 1 for every state. So for any governor, including him, to talk about prosperity as a foundational reason to move, or that of lack of inclusion, or what PDP has done to the zone, that is actually begging the matter. For me, some of these governors like what I call genealogy of power, ancestry of power. They do not understand what this thing means.
You have said that it is unethical for them to move, but it is not illegal.
Well, as the Constitution is not very, precise, that's why people who want to amend the Constitution further want to tighten that. Almost all the critical figures in civil society, even the political leadership of the country, said it is important for people to preserve the sanctity of the mandate given them. So if you are given a mandate and you walk away, resign.
What I'm just trying to look at now.
So it can now declare that seat open for the people to come back. But as it is for now, it's still murky water of legality.
Prof, you and I know that politicians rarely resign in this part of
I understand where we have got it.
Yes,
to.
but
I should not clap for them.
What we're looking at, is where this leaves the political arrangement, because we know that traditionally, the Southeast has been a stronghold, a base of the PDP. It would seem that the people of the Southeast have shown great loyalty to the PDP, apart from Anambra, where APGA has held sway. It would seem that it would be suicide for anybody to want to be governor of Anambra State, not on the platform of... it's unclear. We'll see whether that will continue to remain true in the next 3 weeks when, Anambrians go to the poll. But in this instance, from what we have seen so far, APGA has held the Southeast very, very... sorry, not the Southeast. Has held Anambra State very strongly. The same way the PDP has held it. But we're now saying this defection. The question is whether the people of the Southeast will be able to get used to this new arrangement that their governors are trying to pull them into.
There is what one can call, it is not strange in an evolving democratic order like ours, that of course is a liberal and authoritarian in character, content, and context. It is not unusual for this to happen, to inorganically develop a party from nothing to something. Umahi did it in Ebonyi. The current Minister of Works, he was PDP. He just woke up like this other governor and said, I'm going to APC. And then with the apparatus of power under his command and given the repressed state of our national condition and poverty in the land, people with him, all the, maybe the members of the National Assembly, some of them, State Assembly, local government apparatuses, all moved along in order to survive politically. Suddenly, from nothing, APC became the dominant force in Ebonyi. Abia is even a better case.
But he had a very tough time. He admitted it, that even though locally he was able to get the APC to be governor, to be the governor, to retain governorship in Ebonyi State, it was a problem.
Yes, I know, because
people to vote for the APC at the national level.
Because people resisted at that level of his own side. It's okay, fine, but at the national, they resisted, and it's going to happen in 2027. Absolutely. Even Abia is a little bit more organic. The surge that brought, Oti to power on the maybe the tail of the P2B insurgency and so on, insurgent political movement. Now, in 2027, we don't know what shape and form these dynamics will take. We don't know the line of the presidential candidates. We don't know whether P2B is going to emerge somewhere as a candidate of a party, including that of PDP too. People are running scared because ultimately the right is that of the people to choose their leaders. So why the PDP and other parties are suffering this fragmentation at the upper crust, the base of the party remain intact. I'm in touch with people in Enugu State. There's palpable anger Bring anybody else who says supporting P2B on the studio.
Yeah, but
yes, I said there's palpable anger.
Interestingly, yesterday when we saw the governor defect, it wasn't just the governor. We saw past governors.
Yes.
We saw Sullivan Chime right there.
Even there.
We saw Guru, I'm trying to remember his name. Ugwanyi, yeah, who was also there with him as well.
Oh, so sure, I said the elite. It's an elite thing. Maybe you can break it down, the genealogy of this individual, politically speaking.
Yes.
Sullivan Chime has only been APC for years. Possibly maybe after he left office, 2015 or so. He quickly moved into APC. He's been there for almost 10 years. Ugwanyi, of course, his own politics. Among these 5 governors, the G5 governors who didn't back the party, who are say somehow sympathetic to the other side that now where he defected to, and of course he prepared, back from anonymity, political anonymity, to where he eventually became the governor after a bitter struggle with Labour Party there. So even if I was seeing the president, Kenamani is APC. At the end of the day, ask yourself, did he want not to lose election? Last time around, he lost the election. Did Sullivan Chime deliver his own or his word in 2023 when P2B was running for presidency? Kenamani as a stronger he is, and I respect him as a moral force. But let's face it is part of the upper class of the elite. The mass of the people remain firm. 20% will determine whether a few elite, not the millions who voted for the governor, but a few people in the smoke-filled room, that traditional sense of power brokerage, will decide the fortunes and destiny of the people. But the matter I wanted to put to rest, which I'm sure I've done remarkably well, is the matter of prosperity is an afterthought. The majority of the Southeast does not hold water, because beyond that search for the presidency, which their son is persistently seeking now, and he's even in a poor position to get it, they're not backing him. So there are other reasons, and for me, I don't even think it's in terms of ideological realignment. It's a question of cowardice, gutlessness, and chicken-heartedness. That's the reason why they're leaving. Not only him, but a few other governors too. I think you can look at.
When you look at what is happening in the PDP, because let's not forget, yesterday the PDP was in court. They're supposed to be holding a national convention in Ibadan, and they had a representative. They were supposed to have a representation.
And there were issues of who's going to represent.
Yes, there were issues. Okay, the chairman represented somebody. The legal advisor said, no, you do not have the right. That is solely within my purview. And even though they were given time in court to, sort the matter out, they still couldn't come to a resolution.
Fine. Let me put it this way. Parties are made up of individuals. These individuals have contrasting viewpoints, perspectives, they have tendencies. Democracy induces conflict because it gives you freedom to express yourself, like in PDP or any other party, even Labour Party, and so on. But democracy provides the mechanism for internal conflict resolution. That means crisis in the PDP is normal, even when it is persistent. And this crisis come of 2 modes. The crisis that organic, internal contradictions, because of relationship between people and institutions and structures in the party, the crisis that is imposed from the outside. Anybody who is a careful observer of the political system will tell you that most of the PDP crises are externally imposed. There's simply the desire of the president and his crew, who are praised here, that he's a tenacious fighter. And this government should learn from him how to be courageous and stay the course where they are. The decision, that mindset that 2027 is a day of reckoning for me, and I need to win this election. So what that means is that it's not how I govern, how well I govern, how well I run my party, but how I dismantle the apparatuses of multi-party democracy. So that if I have in 2027, and they bring the election forward, as they're planning to do, the parties will be grappling for life, breathing in a laborious manner, and then I'm in there. So part of this crisis, we must understand a crisis, and when the powerful force, like the presidential force, is after you, it must have that tenacity of spirit to survive. That is why I praise the like of Governor Bala Mohammed Abaji, the chairman of the Governors Forum, who received the vice president and 2 former presidents, Obasanjo and Jonathan, some time ago at the summit. The senator came back and said, in inaugurating my subcommittee, let me reaffirm my loyalty to the party, and let me even throw shade at those who are decamping. I'm going to share Makinde, who was there in court yesterday to say, I'm from the Southwest, he's from the Southwest, but I'm part of the PDP family. It's not anything wrong. We can't be an enemy of the state for being a loyal member of your party. But these other ones who are checking out, we wish them luck. It is the people that will determine their fate somewhere down the line.
Well, I was going to say, well, that certainly brings us to INEC and, what exactly is happening there. But let's go to Lagos, because I know that Ayo has questions for you as well. Ayo.
Thank you, Markwe. I think that's actually a good point, to continue that conversation. But let me ask this first, Prof. the question that's played on my mind is some governors, we hear that there are a number of other governors who may be thinking, or rather, as you also hinted, and Maokwe, there are other governors who may have an umbrella, a broom somewhere around other icons,
under the umbrella.
other icons that they play with. But the concern for me is how that affects governance in the states. What we hear some of these governors say, I think the governor of Akwa Ibom said the same thing, the governor of Enugu State is saying the same thing now, they want to integrate to the center and all of that. From where you sit, what could it mean to the average person in each of those states?
Okay, I take my bearing by going back again. You know, you had me loud and clear. On this stage and severally, I've not been a political friend of the president in terms of my analysis, interpretation of his policies. But today is a different conversation about politics and power. The answer to your question is to go back and look at that model in 2003, when the PDP swept the 5 states on the southwest and the governor stood firm and said, I do not need to be part of the so-called center, the PDP center, to survive, for my state to survive and prosper. Yes, Lagos is uniquely positioned to prosper and survive. But if you are not a good governor, you have a good team, such potentials you have there, those potentials will not even take the state forward. But he did the best he can, not only to govern as best as he could, but equally to transfer power to people who successfully made Lagos, they say, a better place than they made it. That means you do not even need the so-called center in a federal state, in a federal system. At least we purport the system to be a federal system. And incredibly, the governor of Akwa Ibom should understand that Akwa Ibom State is one of the richest states in Nigeria in terms of revenue allocation, what they get from the regular allocation, the revision fund, maybe ecology fund, etc. You have what resources to develop your state, to rebuild infrastructure, to empower the people for human capacity building or human infrastructure building to occur. Indeed, it don't even need to be part of the so-called federal center. By federal center, you mean part of the ruling party. To be friends of the center. Remember in the Second Republic, there's Sam Bakwe, governor of Imo State, proud MPP card holder and governor, you know, very loyal acolyte of Nnamdi Azikiwe, was dubbed the crying governor because he was persistently we go to Lagos, then our capital, to play with Shagari, to look at Imo State, to help us. And the president listened to him and granted most of his wishes. So it could be part of that opposition force in PDP or Labour, which other party there, and still be part of what is happening at the center. I mentioned the governor of Bauchi State. The VP came to commission the summit or to open the summit. At the same time, that means he's not an enemy of state. He respects the president and his team. At the same time, he's still very strong and viable as a governor of Bauchi State under the PDP platform.
To the political permutations. There are those who have alleged on more than one occasion that some of these defections are machinated surreptitiously by the president or the presidency. Do you think the president has a hand in all these defections?
Well, I've already told more about that there are 2 forms of conflict or crisis in the party. The organic one, the one that you and I belong to a party, and we have to quarrel sometimes. It's human, you know, to quarrel and then make up or part ways. Then if we don't have any reason to quarrel, but the quarrel is induced by a powerful force, maybe greater than us from outside, sometimes we may even fall under the threat of that crisis. So this constructed crisis in PDP is, of course, you have to search for the source of that conflict from the president. And the presidency is clear. The mandate he has now, it will expire in the next 2 or less than 2 years. And they want to renew it. The best way to renew that is to decapitate the PDP primarily. Not the other party, ADC, because they're typically watching ADC. Okay, some big names there, some names...
But you also heard the president,
my
apologies, Prof. You also heard the president say when he was making that presentation in the National Assembly, look, you guys go solve your problems.
That is happy with the crisis.
No, he said, you guys go solve your problems. But if you continue to be in crisis, it is my joy that you are in crisis. So
I keep on taking you.
Exactly. So, I mean, what's that got to do with it?
That's
if they are not able to solve their own problems.
Okay, that's a smart thing to say. And of course, politicians speak what they call double speak, you know, from both sides of the mouth. On the one hand, he's permitted his acolytes, his foot soldiers to keep on pummeling this party. It's not just the PDP. Look at what is happening with the Labour now. Initially, they say it's the Nadios man, you know, factional tendency they recognize. I hear there's a Bure side now. There's a crisis in the Labour Party, they're out of, they're back into it via INEC interim chairman. That's a subject for another day. Yes, on the one hand, solve your problem. I get that template. That the president of the country, as the governor of Lagos State, solved his one problem. Stood fine, courageous. So I'm not actually taking anything away from what he said. If you can't solve your problem, I could help you solve your problem in a way we don't like it. So these governors have no ancestry of power, genealogy of power. Some of them are corporate players and business people. They have no understanding of where this democracy is coming from and the need. For in the East, for example, Enugu as a epicenter of the spiritual epicenter of resistance has culturally crumbled. He's not the president making, even though he may wish it so or advance that agenda. Your duty is to hold firm.
Okay.
On the pressure, he's being mounted upon.
Interesting. Now, so does this have anything? This chests, of course, of the that one can put it, of the APC's growth, the war chest, so to speak, of the APC growing. Do you see it as an edge against the opposition, against the Obi, the movement of Mr. Peter Obi, or the amalgamation of other political forces into the ADC? Do you see them still being a threat, or you think this is one of those defections that's going to quench all power?
Okay, now let's put it this way. You and I know the consequences of gluttony. When you overeat, overindulge, you suffer obesity or flatulence, or the two. And these are debilitating physical conditions. So PDP suffered it. 2003, they gobbled up Southwest, minus Lagos. They've already controlled the South-South, the entire 6 states. They are in charge of the 6 states of the Southeast. And the entire southern part of Nigeria, PDP was in power in 16 out of the 17 states. So it is not new. In North Central, they had about 4 or so out of the 6. They had Kaduna then, they had Katsina, and so on. So the list goes on. What APC is doing now was what PDP did, to a very terrible historical consequence. When you overgorge yourself, you have to disgorge that which you put inside of you. APC will disgorge that which has, fattened it abnormally. Maybe 2027, when they have crisis and conflict of interest, people are dislodged, like in Enugu State now, they're going to review their chance and say, what the hell is all this? New character from PDP has come in to take over what we have. And they do the nomination process, and the other parties typically wait for you to do your own. And they grab everything you have, and they balance the power, they balance the equation. And most importantly, the people will be the last to speak, not the few political elite in the shenanigans, but the mass of the people.
I hear you say that the people will be the last to speak, and they speak through the ballot.
Absolutely.
And, we know that a new leadership, or will I say a new headship, has been appointed for INEC. We're still waiting for it to go to the National Assembly. The president has now written, if you can, in about a minute or so, can you set some agenda for the new INEC chairman?
If I set an agenda for him,
yes,
I must deposit this. That institution is sorely lacking in legitimacy and credibility. It is no longer authentic as an independent agency. It's not the problem of Parliament, who appointed this new chairman. It's a problem of the appointing authority. Once you take it away from the president and make it a lot more independent, then by genuinely to be independent Electoral Commission. Now it's an apparatus of the presidency, maybe of the previous PDP presidency, now of this APC presidency. That's where the trust deficit will begin. That this new chairman, I've seen his credentials and some controversies around it. These are not very important. What is important is who chose him, why did he choose him. It happened with the case of NNPC GMD from the North Central, but Yoruba extraction. It happened now with this INEC chairman, North Central Kogi, or Yoruba extraction. It's almost the same picture of hegemonies of power, both at the presidential level, security level, and financial level of the country. It's been appropriated. For what reason? Maybe this election 2027 may be manipulated, maybe not. Maybe he's going to put his feet down. My advice to him is to simply look at his own history and background as a professor of law and his ethics as a scholar, and said, I may have been brought here to do something, but I'm going to do this and discharge my responsibilities to the best of my ability and talent, and then with fear of God and man and woman, being his guide.
I think it's a fine place to leave it. We'll certainly be looking forward to, the screening by the National Assembly, and of course what he will have to say on the floor.
It will be a walkover, because already the Council of State have been, and we see this National Assembly to be a rubber stamp. So they will actually get him through without any problem.
Well, let us see, at least, even it's going to be a rubber stamp, what his own statement.
The Senate President said himself about whatever the President wants, they'll give it to him. So he wants this one, they'll give it to him too.
Well, Professor Odenta, we have to thank you very much for coming on Sunrise Daily. He is the founding National Secretary of the Alliance for Democracy. Thank you once more.
Thank you, it's a pleasure, Mowbray. Alayo, always hitting from Lagos.
Indeed.
November 8th governorship election in Anambra State, and the acting national chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Mrs. Mary Agbamuchi, is presiding over a meeting with the leadership of political parties in the country. The meeting has three agendas, namely the forthcoming Anambra governorship election, the area council elections in the Federal Capital Territory, and an update on the nationwide voter registration exercise.
The Commission has been working assiduously and making arrangements for the successful conduct of the Anambra State governorship election, and have had several engagements with the security agencies at national, state, and local government levels. The area council election in the FCT scheduled for 21st February 2026 will be held in 68 constituencies, made up of chairmen and their deputies for the 6 area councils. On the part of the Commission, I will wish to assure you of our commitment to deepening democracy through inclusive, transparent, and credible electoral processes.
The meeting also provides opportunity for political parties to speak to the electoral umpire on the integrity of the electoral process.
From your impressive...
Represented by the chairman of the Interparty Advisory Council, IPAC, the political parties urge INEC to take advantage of the Anambra election and other off-cycle elections to rebuild the trust of citizens on its ability to conduct credible elections.
With the new leadership, citizens' expectations are high, very high. The Commission should justify the confidence the nation reposes in it. This is the only way to rebuild trust in the electoral process and encourage mass participation in future polls. INEC should put this act together and get it right. The success of the off-cycle election, this off-cycle election will set the stage for the upcoming elections in 2026, including the Federal Capital Territory Area Council votes, Osun and Ekiti States gubernatorial elections, and the decisive 2027 general election.
The Anambra governorship election is only 3 weeks away, and the success or failure of this exercise rests so much on the shoulders of the acting national chairman of INEC, the commissioners, as well as the political parties, their candidates, and their supporters' willingness to play by the rules.
So we're not talking about the Anambra governorship elections, which is just a few weeks away. What we're looking at is the attendance in that meeting which happened yesterday, the consultative meeting which INEC held with the chairman of political parties. If you look very closely in that particular meeting, I'm hoping that the back end can play that visual again. You would see that seated on the chair, slated for the chairman of the Labour Party, is Mr. Julius Aburi. And that has not gone down well with the leadership of the Labour Party. I do not know whether it's still factional, but they have released a statement saying that INEC must respect court judgment on Labour Party leadership. The statement is signed by Ken Eluma Asogwa, who is the Senior Special Advisor Media to the Interim National Chairman Labour Party, Senator Nenadi Usman. So this morning we're joined by Mr. Ken Eluma Asogwa, who is the Senior Special Advisor Media to the Interim National Chairman of the Labour Party, to give a little more clarity on why he believes that Mr. Julius Aburi shouldn't have been seated on the chair meant for the Labour Party leadership or the Labour Party chairman at that meeting yesterday. Mr. Ken, you're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Nigerians.
Well, so it's interesting. I don't know whether you heard anything I was, said in that report about the Anambra governorship election. Did you hear anything about it? Did you hear anything I was said there, or you're just fixated on that chair?
I'm fixated on that chair because that particular action has put paid to whatever thing that INEC was trying to achieve on that. I feel that having done that, whatever INEC wanted to achieve on that note, I see absurdity going on everywhere. You see, I want to throw light on how we got to where we are now. On the 4th of April this year, 2025, Supreme Court in a landmark judgment stated clearly that Julius Aburi is no longer the national chairman of the Labour Party. That is very unambiguous judgment.
The Supreme Court?
The Supreme Court the Supreme Court. Now,
the Supreme Court said that clearly, or wasn't there some controversy? Because I think that generally the courts have said that when it comes to certain internal matters, it is within the purview of the party. And I remember that after that, Senator Nenadi Usman side said, well, this is victory in our side. Julius Abure also came out to say, yes, as a result of that, I remain the chairman of the Labour Party. Wasn't that what transpired?
No. See, the Supreme Court stated clearly that Julius Abure was no longer the chairman. But in an obiter, that is a statement made by the way, they went further to state that what determines the leadership of a political party should be an internal affair. But let's even move away from the Supreme Court judgment. Now, on the 28th of July this year, Julius Abure brought an application through originating summons that he filed at the Federal High Court in Abuja before Justice Suleiman Liman. Now, he brought that application before Justice Liman, asking INEC to recognize him as the national chairman of the Labour Party on the strength of the Supreme Court judgment. Now, INEC filed a counter-affidavit to that originating summons that was filed on the 13th of August. A 6-paragraph affidavit sworn by a certain Ayuba Mohammed of INEC, who said that he took the approval of the INEC chairman to swear to that affidavit. Now, the INEC filed that affidavit stating that the court should not recognize Julius Abure as the national chairman of the Labour Party because on account of the Supreme Court judgment of 4th April 2025. Now, on 15th August, just about 2 days after that affidavit was filed by INEC, the court delivered judgment on this. Justice Mohammed Liman said that, Suleiman Liman said that based on the affidavit filed by INEC, I agree with INEC that Julius Abure is no longer the national chairman of the Labour Party based on the Supreme Court judgment of 4th April 2025. So if anyone thinks that there is a doubt in the Supreme Court judgment, the Federal Court judgment has reinforced that. So also INEC filed an affidavit to state that this man is no longer the national chairman of the Labour Party. Then 2 months after, INEC is inviting him on a consultative forum meeting that INEC is having with national chairman of Labour, so of political party. So I don't know what's going on here.
So if I get you correctly, INEC invited him. INEC did not just send a letter to the Labour Party for them to, invite for the chairman to come.
See what transpired here. The letter that INEC wrote is an omnibus letter. It's like a generic letter that they wrote to all the chairmen of political parties.
Indeed.
But what transpired in the case of Labour Party, was that there are some rogue elements in Labour Party that decided to transmit the letter, a copy of the letter meant for Labour Party, to Abure to attend, instead of transmitting the letter to the appropriate authority in Labour Party. So that was what transpired there. And he was one that found himself there. And you know what? There is a precedent on this matter. On the 29th of July 2024, Abure found himself in a similar meeting before INEC when Professor Mahmoud Yakubu was the national chairman. And he was literally thrown out of that meeting. Yakubu said that you are no longer the chairman of Labour Party, so we cannot have you before us in this meeting. Now, this interim national chairman of INEC, I don't understand what's going on because, we have all been saying that Yakubu did not do well, but it is a pity that Nigerians should wake up to say that Yakubu was better than this person. Why are we always having our past leaders, remembering them in nostalgia that we don't produce a leader that is better than the predecessor?
Okay, so let me get this
Of all the
now.
failings of Yakubu, he's now proving to be better than who we have.
Just a moment. Let me get this straight. You say INEC sent an omnibus letter to all political parties, including the Labour Party.
Yes, please.
Rogue elements within the Labour Party transmitted that letter to Mr. Julius Abure,
yes.
and the interim national chairman, Senator Usman, did not receive the letter.
Was not put on notice, yes.
Was not put on notice. So she was not aware of the meeting that transpired yesterday.
Until we all read it in the media.
Oh dear.
Yes.
So that was, assuming she were aware, would she have gone to INEC herself?
She's available to attend. She's the chairman of Labour Party. So if she was notified of the meeting, she would have been there.
Given what transpired at the first instance, when you said Mr. Mahmoud, Yakubu threw out Mr. Julius Abure at an earlier meeting where he had tried to attend, don't you think that should have put the leadership of Labour Party, or the faction you say is the leadership of the Labour Party, on notice that, should any correspondence come into the political party again, there has to be a safe way, a strategy to make sure that the correspondence gets to her as you believe it ought to?
We have been writing INEC series of, almost in every fortnight. We have correspondences with INEC. INEC has our address, this address of our national secretariat. We communicate with them. They write back to us on a range of issues. So if they wanted to communicate to us, they know the right channels to use to communicate to us. Meanwhile, what transpired in Abure's case when he was thrown out was last year, and we couldn't have found ourselves there because when it transpired when the meeting held last year, there was still a tussle on the leadership of the party. The matter was still in court to determine who was the leader of the party. And he went to court. He decided to attend that meeting, irrespective of the fact that his leadership had not been determined as at that time. It was on that note that Yakubu asked him to excuse himself from the meeting. And it pains me that the current leader or the current leadership of INEC today, is headed by a lawyer. And I understand what they are trying to do. They are trying to foist a situation of fait accompli on the incoming national chairman of INEC. So that they'll put him on a situation of helplessness and put Abure there and force him to communicate with Abure. But as God would have it, the man who is coming in there is a senior advocate of Nigeria who is a professor of law. Yeah. I don't think he will join in this madness.
But you have said that, INEC was, INEC also asked someone to swear to an affidavit on which basis High Court declared him not chairman.
Yes, please.
So what interest does INEC have in making sure that Mr. Abure continues to, go about as the chairman of Labour Party if they have already taken the steps which you yourself enumerated?
That is what I'm saying. So that question should be posed to whoever allowed Abure to sit there, because you swore to an affidavit that he's not the chairman. Next day, you are seen with him. You invited him on his capacity as the chairman and allowed him to sit there. That is contempt of court. That is contempt of court. And if they deny the affidavit, and they swore an affidavit, that is perjury on its own. If you accept today that Julius Abure is the chairman, that means he lied on oath to the court, to Nigerians. That is perjury. That is a crime. Even accepting him to sit on that seat is contempt of court. Federal High Court has said that you are no longer the chairman. Supreme Court said it. Federal High Court reinforced. It's only in Nigeria that Supreme Court will give judgment and will go back to Federal High Court to reinforce the judgment of the Supreme Court. It's never done anyway. But even at that, these judgments have been reinforced by the Federal High Court.
And you have those documents.
They are with me here, and I will transmit them to Channel TV. Yeah.
All right, so let me go to Lagos. I know that my colleague Ayo is as befuddled as I am. Ayo.
I'm more than befuddled, because I just want to understand something. Maybe this perspective to start with. It seems, like the Labour Party is putting INEC and the judiciary in the crossfires by not putting its own house in order. How do you respond to that, sir?
Labour Party has put its house in order. We decided to approach the courts to solve the problem of Labour Party. Because we didn't want anarchy. So we submitted all our grievances to the Nigerian courts, and the Nigerian courts have ruled on this matter. And said that this woman,
let me reframe that, sir. Let me reframe
of Labour Party.
Just to be clear, if the Labour Party has put it out on its house in order, why go to the courts? Because I remember, and I think that's what my colleague Marco was pointing to, that the Supreme Court and all the courts are saying the internal affairs of a political party are the internal affairs of a political party. The judiciary, even INEC, cannot really do anything about it. It is whatever your party, tells INEC that they're going to live by. So if there is a court order that is saying, you guys go take care of your issues, and you're unable to take care of those issues, and we still have the kind of thing that you're talking about now, it will seem like you just want to put the Labour Party is just putting the INEC and the judiciary in the line of fire.
No, I think you're misreading the situation. But let me state this. Let me say something here. You see, every political parties have problems one way or the other. There are grievances. Politics is about who gets what, when, and how. And it causes problems here and there. But what matters is when these problems come up, if they are not able to resolve it internally, they approach the court. Court is there to settle disputes. And when court resolves an issue, people should be able to give in, to throw in the towel if you've lost. And in this case, The Supreme Court, we litigated up to the Supreme Court, and they resolved this crisis. But some elements who have sworn bent down to attack Nigerian democracy have decided to fuel the crisis in Labour Party. What is happening in Labour? Julius Abure does not have the capacity to disobey the Supreme Court of Nigeria. There are external elements who are bent on foisting him on the Labour Party just to achieve whatever thing is their interest in Labour Party. So, in straight answer to your question, we have tried a number of times to resolve our case internally, and the Supreme Court judgment that said that we should that the internal crisis of Labour Party is an affair of the Labour Party that should be resolved internally, went further in that same judgment to tell Abure, look, that on your own case, you are no longer the chairman of this party. Like I keep saying, if anybody has any doubts on the judgment of the Supreme Court, let us refer to a letter judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja that was just delivered on the 15th of August. That judgment did not make any reference to any internal dispute should be handled by the
Mr. Sogwa, so there was an issue.
That judgment pointedly said that Julius Abure is no longer the chairman of the Labour Party.
Just a second. The PDP has also had this kind of issue, and until recently, when the court had to help them say, look, guys, you need to understand this, and you need to all agree that this fellow is the rightful national secretary of your party, and it would seem like that has put pay to a number of things, and there's some kind of stability coming up in the PDP, the People's Democratic, right now. Now, why is it difficult, for instance, for a Labour Party to come to that round table as well and say, this is the position of the party, let's all agree to it? Why is it difficult for the interim national chairman and this, what you call the ousted national chairman, to sit around the table and discuss the issues of the party? What is the problem? Isn't that what the Labour Party stands for? To ensure that there is peace everywhere? Why is it difficult for the Labour Party and all the interest parties within the party to sit around the table? What really is the issue?
Well, we have made peace overtures on several occasions. Even if you have been following our statements, we have on a number of times extended the olive branch to them. So you don't force people to come on a negotiating table. If you have made overtures for peace to people and they are refusing to embrace that, you don't go and arrest them and bring them to the table and say, we must sit down and make peace. So so in a straight answer to your question, we have extended that olive branch to them, and they are not taking it because of the fact that the people who are funding what they are doing, they are accountable to them.
So
you can't collect money from the person who is funding you, and you come and make peace.
Mr. Sogwa, who are the people funding these elements that you're talking about?
The elements I'm talking about are being funded by the APC government in power. It's as clear as that. I don't need to prevaricate over this issue. So Julius Abure is being
sponsored by the Labour Party. Now, how does that make the Labour Party look?
The Labour Party.
How does that make the Labour Party look? A party not competent to take care of its own problems, and it is now, is blaming another political party for its own woes?
No. It is you are blaming. It's like when someone is being knocked down, walking on the road, and the car knocks him down, and you are blaming the victim for being knocked down. No, there are people who have declared war on democracy in Nigeria, and they are the people who are forcing a sense of anarchy, impunity everywhere. So you can't blame the Labour Party for the attack that is being foisted on the Labour Party.
I'm sure you listened to Professor Udenta. I'm sure you listened to Professor Udenta earlier, and he was recounting the days where the PDP was the dominant, and I mean the dominant political party in the country at the time. And he also referenced the fact that there was no party close to the PDP, particularly in the 2023 and 2027 elections, but that there are some political forces that stood their ground and said, we're not going to prevaricate, we're not going to blame anybody for our woes, we're going to take our own, destiny in our own hands. And that is why we have what we have today, that the Labour Party, and the APC became what it became because it decided to stand its ground. How is that difficult for the Labour Party also to do?
Well, maybe the persons who were ruling Nigeria, who were in the helm of affairs when the APC emerged, We are decent people. You can always see, you go around the streets in Nigeria today, you can hear people talk about Jonathan, that they want Jonathan should come back. So because of the fact that he brought some sense of decency when he was in power, so he allowed the APC to exist. So the people who are ruling Nigeria today are people who feel that, look, this is a bull in a China shop. They feel that they should, look, that nothing should happen. That this is state capture. This is complete state capture. When Supreme Court of Nigeria gives judgment and nobody tends to obey that, what are you inviting? You are inviting doom. You are inviting anarchy. The day that judgment was given, we all went to the National Secretariat of the Labour Party to retake it. Within 2 minutes of going there, 5 truckloads of police officers were deployed to the National Secretariat to guard Julius Abure. Who deployed that? Police are in the hands of the Inspector General of Police today, who deployed police officers to guard the National Secretariat of the Labour Party in favor of Julius Abure.
So let me ask this. Do you have access to the National Secretariat of the Labour Party today?
No, we have our National Secretariat. What we call National Secretariat of Labour Party is what the leadership decides to call the National Secretariat of Labour Party. So the former secretariat we had, we decided when the forces of anarchy decided to hold that place for him, we decided to get a new National Secretariat. So there's a new National Secretariat of the Labour Party, and INEC is aware of this, and they'll be communicating to us through that National Secretariat.
They have that address?
Yes.
But the letter wasn't sent to that address?
No letter was sent to the address, and I even learned that the letters they sent to the leaders of political parties were sent soft copy, and we never got anyone from them.
Well, so what do you want to happen now? What should happen going forward? Because there will be many more engagements.
There has to be apology from INEC for the decision they have taken yesterday. That is assault on democracy in Nigeria. That is one. And that is a contempt of court, because we are waiting for that apology. We will be talking with our lawyers to see the next line of action. Because
apology is one. What next?
Somebody has to be committed to prison for contempt of court if these things are not right. The truth is that this wrong has to be remedied, because there is a contempt of court here. Judgment of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, reinforced by the Federal High Court judgment of 15th of August. And you swore to affidavit to say that this man is no longer the national chairman of the Labour Party. And on the strength of your affidavit, the court awarded you judgment.
Well, Mr. Ken Eluma Asogwa, I think it's a fine place to leave it. We certainly will wait to hear from INEC to see if this was a genuine mistake, or whether or not they are, seeing another judgment somewhere else, or maybe also hear from Mr. Julius Abure. But we have to thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Early this morning. Mr. Ken Eluma Asogwa is a Senior Special Advisor Media to the Interim National Chairman of the Labour Party, Senator Nenadi Usman. Thank you once more for coming on the program. Thank you. Well, that's how we'll wrap it up this beautiful Wednesday morning on Sunrise Daily. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Business Morning is on the hour. Enjoy the rest of your day.